For years now, Nvidia has been the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Nvidia has been the undisputed king of the AI boom, bar none. Its chips became the foundation of modern AI infrastructure, right? Uh, training, training models, uh, running inference, powering AI data centers, fueling the rise of companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, XAI. And along the way, NVIDIA became one of the most powerful and admired companies on Wall Street. But now a new question may quietly be emerging inside the AI race. And that's this: is Google preparing to challenge NVIDIA more directly, right? Recently, Alphabet and Blackstone announced plans tied to a massive new AI infrastructure initiative involving Google's tensor processing units, or TPUs. In other words, Google may no longer want to rely entirely on NVIDIA hardware to help power the future of AI. Psychologically, this is interesting because for many investors, AI and NVIDIA have almost become synonymous. People hear AI boom, and immediately the knee jerk reaction is NVIDIA. Jensen Huang, GPUs, AI servers, explosive growth, massive demand. But Google has something very few companies possess, and that is its own AI ecosystem, its own cloud platform, its own large language model, its own data infrastructure, and its own custom designed chips. And increasingly, Google appears to be positioning itself not merely as an AI software company, but also as an AI infrastructure power. And that's important because infrastructures where enormous amounts of money may ultimately be made during the AI build out. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean NVIDIA's in trouble, far from it, right? Demand for AI computing remains massive, okay, worldwide. Many companies may continue using both NVIDIA GPUs and Google TPUs for different types of work and, and different AI tasks. But the larger story, pull the camera back a little bit, the larger story may be this: that the AI race itself is becoming broader, wider, more encompassing, more crowded, you know, more competitive, and which is ultimately good for the consumer, right? If it's more competitive, that's good for me and you. Look at cameras, photography with Nikon and Canon. I mean, right there, those two companies competing neck and neck for decades have produced incredible camera gear, whichever one you're a fan of. But yeah, Nikon, Canon, great. Competition in that example has benefited the consumer. And the AI race itself, I mean, it's more geopolitical and more strategic than most people initially realized. And increasingly, the world's largest companies are no longer just buying AI tools. They're trying to build entire AI ecosystems. And Google may be one of the few companies that's big enough, wealthy enough, deep pockets enough, and technologically sophisticated enough to seriously attempt this. And that's why this matters, because Google's no slouch. No way. It's significant what they're putting together is unbelievable. And that doesn't mean Nvidia suddenly disappears. It's not because of that, but it's because the AI boom may eventually produce multiple centers of power. Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and perhaps others that are still emerging from behind the scenes. And I think investors may increasingly start asking a different question, which is who will ultimately control the infrastructure that powers AI itself? Who's going to control that? So that's an interesting, fascinating question. Who shall prevail, right? So that itself, that may become one of the defining investment stories of this entire decade. I'll see you next time.